Now, before we get into roll call, well, let's do roll call first, I guess. Just to make sure. Senator Chow.
Present.
Senator Chung.
Present.
Senator Feynman.
Present.
Senator Iwoma.
Present.
Senator Kong.
Present.
Senator Lee.
Present.
Senator Mohabbat.
Present.
Senator Mullen.
Present.
Senator Woche. Senator Pacheco. Senator Pandya.
Here.
Senator Quinn.
Present.
Senator Rafi.
Present.
Senator Shen. Senator Snon.
Present.
Senator Tan.
Present.
Senator Truax.
Present.
Senator Upadhyayula.
Here.
Senator Wheat.
Here.
Senator Wu.
Here.
Senator Shen. Okay. If there are no objections, we'll close the rolls and move on. Because it's the first meeting of this new spring session of the Senate, I am instructed by the bylaws to lead a voluntary pledge of allegiance. So we have a flag, sort of. And I'm going to ask our wonderful Attorney General, Kevin, to lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
Please stand.
We have to stand. Well, guess
Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for indulging us in that procedural masterpiece. So we'll move on to representatives to the ASUC reports. If we have our UCPD representative, now would be the time. It's entirely possible that we don't. If we don't, we'll move on to Chancellor's representative, we normally don't have, and our Graduate Assembly representative. And if none of those are present, we'll move that into our ASUC auxiliary report.
Hello? Hello? Okay. So, as expected, I have a lot of updates for you guys. Or for everybody. So, staffing and hiring, we will start off with here. With event services. So, event services, they have a new event coordinator position. Gabby McGrath is the search committee chair, and the targeted start date for that event coordinator will be mid-March. Also for event services, they're looking for student staff, for a scheduling assistant, and also for audio-visual staff positions. The scheduling assistants are the first point of contact for clients and responsible for booking events. And so you can apply for that. So all jobs are on Callisto or Workstudy, but you can also email Matt Saburi for the scheduling assistant position. And for the AV position, you can email or send the resume to Monica Duran. For the art studio, they have hired a new ceramics tech, Vanessa DiTullio. Vanessa's been working with the art studio already as a temp for almost a year and has now been installed as a career staffer. So, along with teching at the Berkeley Art Studio, she also teaches ceramics classes and maintains her own sculpture and drawing studio. So that's that. Then for so many updates. Okay. For the lead center. So this week we are recruiting for the, hosting interview candidates for the lead center coordinator for recreational arts and performing arts organizations. We just had one candidate and we are having two more come this week. Other ones, there's the lead center for fraternities and sorority advising. A couple updates there. So Dustin Page, his last day is tomorrow. He will no longer be with the lead center. He's going back to Georgia. So if you want to stop by the lead center, say bye. In the meantime, any IFC groups will go to Brandon to advise, and then Gamma will be going to our new hire, or temporary hire, Amber Bundy Davis. Amber is also advising the NPHC groups. And then MCGC groups are with Christina, along with Panhellenic. Also just to add, Christina, she won the Gale Webb New Professional Award, so congratulate her. See her. And as far as MCGC new, Phi Sigma Rho Engineering Sorority has been accepted into MCGC and will be colonizing this semester. Okay. So, next update. So Lead Center Student Government Advising, we are in the process of filling the position for the coordinator for the ASUC Programs and Archives, which Caitlin was on. So the search committee, we conducted phone interviews last week, and we hope to bring, we are bringing the candidates next week. We're going to have 2 interviews on Wednesday and Thursday of next week, and then one the Tuesday afterwards. You can join us for the candidate sessions, candidate presentation and student forums. Those will be from 2 to 3:30 on, again, Wednesday the 29th, Thursday the 30th, and then Tuesday, February 4th, from 2 to 3:30. Any questions on that, you can ask me. Also, you can ask me about the coordinator for the GA, the Graduate Assembly, working with the Graduate Assembly project coordinators, delegates, and business office. So that search committee, we will be meeting tomorrow to go over the resumes for the to see if we can conduct phone interviews. That's that update. And then, as far as our, if you haven't heard already, our director for the Student Environmental Resource Center, that's Catherine Walsh. She is now our director, so she's still in the Lead Center. And then for the office manager, just to let you know, Jordan, his last day is Friday, so say goodbye there. And in the meantime, Mario, who's another one of the Secretariat staff, she will be filling in interimly. Unfortunately, we didn't get a whole bunch of candidates. We got less than 5 candidates. So I'm reopening the post position for the office manager. Again, you can find that on Callisto and Work Study. For the Callisto, if you have friends who are interested in the Senate office manager position, the number is 854-346. Then, so that's hiring. Okay. So construction. So FYI, for the duration of the Hellman Tennis Complex upgrades construction, access to Edwards Track and Goldman Field will only be via Bancroft Way. The entrance is under the Edwards Track bleachers, just west of the RSF garage driveway. The stairway is now closed from the east side of Ludwig's Fountain to the east edge of the Chavez Breezeway. The demolition of the stair was completed last week. The new stairs are scheduled to be completed by May 2014. Noise and disruption from concrete removal of the basement level of the stairs will continue through the end of January, mostly affecting the art studio and the band areas. And for your Cal ID card access, make sure you notify the Secretariat or the Lead Center if your access is not working, so we can get your ID card activated or reactivated for that matter. You will definitely need to be reprogrammed if you lose your Cal ID, because there's a unique number on those cards. So if you have constituents who lose their IDs or have lost some of the break, they need to do the access form again if they lose their ID cards. Program updates. So we're doing a lot of assessment of the work we're doing. So on May 27th to May 30th in Anahead, we're going to have the EOLI, I guess the Executive Officer Leadership Institute, and we're going to be conducting an assessment of past EOLIs to improve the quality and effectiveness of the program. So we have begun inviting campus officials to meet with incoming officers, and we'll provide more information following the assessment. Walk-in hours for the Lead Center for Student Organization Advising will begin on January 27th, and will be from Monday to Friday from 2 to 4. They are working with the EVP to secure a location in 112 or 115. Agent signatory trainings to start this week for student organizations. You can check the Lead Center website for more information about that. Auxiliary Marketing is happy to announce that our senior graphic designer, Joel, has completed the ASUC logo and branding refresh. He's updated the ASUC seal, the color palette, and has cleaned up all other ASUC logo variations to stay in line with the UC Berkeley branding standards. We'll update you soon on where you can download the latest seal and logos, and we think you will love it. We also have begun planning for Cal Day, so we'll keep you updated on auxiliary and ASUC joint marketing efforts as plans become more fruition. Art Studio Winter Class registration is well underway and it's doing pretty well. So all ceramics classes have been sold out and more classes are being added by popular demand. Financial goals for the session have already been met with still some time to go before classes start on February 1st. The studio is also installing a small exhibition titled The Teapot, running from February 4th to March 21st. Then upcoming events, the event services and the Lead Center are hosting Event Planning 101 for students. So please get the word out. Dates and sign up are on the Event Services website. The first one is February 11th. It's going to be in the Career Center Blue Room. If you haven't been there, there's a great view of the Eshelman rebuild. The application for the 2015-2016 student regent position is now available online. Please encourage students to apply. Students may access the application through the Regents homepage, and to apply, students have to complete, sign, and submit the application along with a resume and essay by February 20th. And applications and documentation can be submitted to Ann Shaw, the Associate Secretary of the Regents, or Elizabeth Rodriguez, the Berkeley Student Regent Coordinator. The current Student Regent designee and former ASUC Senator, Sadia Saifuddin, will host an information session this Friday, January 24th at Anthony Hall from 2 to 4 to discuss her experience as Student Regent designate and to provide details on the application process. Food and drinks will be provided. And then finally, tabling pod hours are 8 to 5, Monday to Friday for the spring semester. Questions?
We have about 15 seconds left, so I'll need a motion to extend time if we're going to take questions.
I move to extend time for 3 minutes.
There's been a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any objections? Abstentions? Seeing none, motion carries. Senator Feynman?
Yeah, thanks, Ken Rob. I have 2 quick questions. First of all, you said that the office manager was changing hands. I'm wondering if they still have the same email, the interim.
Okay, so your first question, yes. No, they're not changing. It's still manager@asuc.org.
The person is changing, but the email is the same?
Correct.
Awesome. And then my second question was, in the fall, one of the last meetings, you mentioned how there were some Greek organizations getting removed from campus. You mentioned a few and said there was going to be more. I was wondering if that had an update yet, or...
I will check with Brandon to see if there's anything new and get back to you next week.
Great, thank you so much.
Senator Woodchin?
Just had a general question. When is signatory training for student groups? You know? When is the first session?
I don't have that right now. It's on the Lead Center website. It's like the very first news item at the very top. It says signatory training. Click here.
Oh, okay.
The date will
When I
be
look
right
last, I
there.
didn't see it. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Other questions for Rob? Senator Week?
I don't know if you would be familiar with this, but I had heard that they're planning on doing construction on Maxwell Field and having it closed. Do you know how long that'll be closed for?
I don't have that information right now. Again, I can get back to you next week.
Any other questions for Rob in the 1 minute and 35 seconds we have left? All right, if there are none, thank you, Rob. So we will move there from auxiliary to the ASUC Commercial Student Services Board report. If I'm not mistaken, the meeting is coming up, and I don't know that there have been any updates since the last time. Since I didn't receive a report about that, and I don't see anyone rushing to come up to talk about it, we'll move then into our finance officer report.
Hi. Hi, guys. Hi. So over the break, I sent out a bunch of emails to all of you about various things. Oh, and my report should be in your binder. So I updated the ASUC budget with the budget realignment bill. So everything in the realignment bill should be in the budget, in the current ASUC budget right now. And I apologize for one of the emails I sent out with the link for the Senate sponsorship and funding application. That was the wrong link. But you should be able to find the actual application on the CalLink, the normal CalLink website. Yeah. And I am also currently working on the spring budgeting application. And well, I'm still working on the details, so I didn't send out much about it. But it would be available starting on February 14th, and it would allow a month, exactly a month, for other student groups to complete the application and submit it. So it would be so February 14th to March 14th. So please mark the dates down and like tell your student groups about it. And also this year's mid-year report would be incorporated in the spring budgeting application. I know some of you emailed me about it, and that's your answer. Yeah. And what else? I'm also taking the ASUC decal, and it's pretty fun. What a winner! Yeah, that's it. Thanks, guys.
Any questions for our finance officer before he departs? All right, thank you, Dennis.
How is that decaf?
So we have our next session is guest announcements. I think. Okay. Are there any guest announcements? Now would also be the time for public comments. If anyone is interested in making a public comment, we would just ask that you fill out a public comment card and give it to us so we can have your. Oh, never mind. Okay. Our public comment cards have gotten smaller. So we have our first public comment from Sophie Karasek on the UC Regents meeting on sexual assault.
Can you hear me? Okay, cool. Hi everyone, my name is Sophie Karasek, and I've come here a couple times before. I'm president of Cal Berkeley Democrats and also an activist sexual assault survivor, and filed a federal complaint against Berkeley last year. And so I just wanted to let you all know that today, as you probably know, the UC Regents had their meeting, and myself and some other students went and urged them to update their UC-wide policy on sexual assault and to include students' concerns in the updated policy. So keep an eye out for those recommendations. I think some other folks will be talking about that as well. But basically the gist is that they are listening to us, and it's really a powerful moment, so stay tuned. Yeah.
Great, thank you, Sophie. So if there are no other guest announcements or public comments, we've already taken care of roll call. So we'll move into the approval of the minutes for December 11th from 2013. So, yeah, Senator Feynman.
I was going to move to approve the minutes, but you sounded like you had a qualifier.
Yeah, what I was going to suggest, we can do these separately or we can do them together, but how can I say this? So Title I, Article 2, Part 1 of our bylaws defines when the first and last meetings of an ASUC Senate session happen. I've put together, so that we don't have any confusion about that this semester, I've put together like a bylaws compliant list of Senate meetings that you can see up here, that I've cross-referenced with the start date that the bylaws give us. I've given you all spring break off, so unless you'd like to reverse that, we'll have that. And then the last meeting, even though it's dead week, it's required by the bylaws that we have a regular meeting during this week because those are the bookends of the Senate session. So for both the minutes from December 11th and the minutes from December 4th, because I guess basically what I'm saying is that the previous Senate class gave us an agenda for September 11th as our first meeting, while the bylaws require that our first meeting be on September 4th to coincide with the beginning of the first week of instruction. Instruction started on Thursday, so it obviously couldn't be that Wednesday, so it would be September 4th, right? And so what essentially is a clerical error that creates a problem of special versus regular meetings, I would argue is in violation of the bylaws in arbitrarily labeling meetings as special that are in fact designated as part of the regular Senate calendar. So, the minutes from December 11th, if there are no other suggestions for amendments, I would just suggest that those be labeled as a regular meeting because that is what the bylaws require in terms of the meeting calendar, that the meetings, the last meeting before the end of instruction, which was not in fact December 4th, it was December 13th, that be corrected, as well as the first meeting, the first regular meeting, which was September 4th, also part of the regular calendar. Are there any questions about that? Senator Rafi?
How would that affect absences that were accrued during the special meeting?
So I've run the numbers, and adding these two meetings to the first and the last as regular meetings will not put anyone in jeopardy of being removed from Senate, if that's the concern that you're bringing up. Many of you emailed me throughout the semester about what the threshold for absences was. Both Lizzie and I were consistent in telling you that the threshold for absences is up to 4 with removal on 5. And that's based on this calendar that's required by the bylaws. Now, because of the clerical error of the special versus the regular meeting, and because of the confusion that's caused around that, it can change that proportion. But I think that in the interest of being transparent and forthright with you about the numbers that we've been saying the whole semester would be that threshold, it makes the most sense to calendar this way, where we have the whole semester out in front of us so that the Senate can cancel meetings if we need to, but that it's more transparent. I apologize for not doing this last semester, but this calendar puts us at 15 regular meetings. Senator Feynman?
Yeah, do the absences roll over or do we start all fresh?
Each Senate session is a fresh set of absences, so we will be starting over this semester.
Thank you.
Yeah. Senator Woche?
On that same note, I was just going to ask, even though, I guess since you're correcting the original calendar day or so, because of the fact that we, at the beginning of the year, I guess we understood or we thought it was a special meeting, would that still count against senators' absence for that time period or so?
I mean,
I know, like you said, there's no...
I mean, if we approve this amendment that I'm suggesting, nobody reaches the threshold of absences to be removed from Senate. That's one thing that I want to clarify. And the other thing, too, is that correcting that, it only changes it so that we comply with the calendar that's specified in Title I, Article 2, Part 1 of the bylaws.
Go ahead. All right, cool. All right, thank you.
Are there other questions? Okay, so I'd first like to entertain a motion then to approve the minutes from December 11th, 2013, again with this understanding that it should not have been, it's actually even like in the minutes of the Senate, it's labeled as both a regular and a special meeting in the minutes right now. And so I'm suggesting that we correct that so that it's a regular meeting. Senator Feynman?
I move to approve the minutes from December 11th.
Second.
Well, it would be an approval, and if I'm understanding the motion correctly, it's a motion to approve the minutes from December 11th as a regular meeting based on the conversation that we had.
Correct.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah.
So that's been the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, that motion has been made and seconded. We've taken care of the minutes from December 11th. So in the interest of keeping the discussion neat, we'll now move on to the September 4th. And this is the same thing that we just did with December 11th, is that the bylaws require that the calendar started the first week of September. Our previous Senate class generously left us with an agenda that started the second week of September in violation of the bylaws. I apologize for whatever role I played in that as a member of the previous Senate class. But again, that's just a calendaring issue. So is there a motion to bring the September 4th minutes in line with the required Senate calendar or making it a regular meeting as opposed to a Senate special meeting? Yes. Well, I'll defer to Attorney General Salvo on this, but I vetted this with him, and I've been assured by him, based on his calculation, that this change would not put anyone at that threshold and jeopardize anyone's Senate.
Any crazy stories that you win the hearts of hundreds of fans sometime sooner?
I mean, to be real with you, once we get this out of the way, it doesn't matter anymore because you start with a fresh slate in the spring. Your absences from the fall will not matter anymore.
Also, the 2 absences were excused for religious reasons, so regardless, it would have still been excused. So whether it was regular or special, it's still a religious holiday, if I remember correctly.
Yes. So yeah, I did take that into account. Senator Feynman?
Yeah, I move to accept the minutes from September 4th with the understanding that it should have been a regular meeting.
All right, there's been a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, there's been a motion and a second. So are there any objections to the motion? Any abstentions? Seeing none, motion carries. Before we move too far out of the approval of the minutes from December 11th, we don't exactly have a mechanism for approving a calendar of meetings right now. If Conrad would like to take that on as something that we can do, I would welcome you all to do that. For now, in lieu of that formal process, what I've put up here is the calendar of meetings. I haven't shared it with everyone because we haven't got the venue locked down for finance yet. And I want to touch base with the committee chairs after this meeting. Committee chairs, please stick around. I want to touch base with you about this to make sure that we've got you all in spaces that you're comfortable with and that meet the needs of your committees. But we have, once this is done, we will have for the entire semester the start time, the reservation time, and the location for every meeting of the ASUC ever. And I'll share that with you when it's done.
Wait.
Well, until May, and any of our ASUC meetings ever. So, if there's nothing else on approval of the minutes, we'll move then into new business. It looks like we have a really heavy week for bills. And we'll move SB1 to Conrev and SB2 to the Finance Committee. Is there a motion to delegate those bills out as stated?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any objections? Abstentions? All right, motion carries. Committee chairs, please take note. We also need to move into the approval of the agenda for January 29th, which is our next meeting. Do I have a motion to approve that agenda?
I move to approve the agenda for January 29th.
Senator Feynman has made a motion. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
All right, there's been a motion and a second.
Can I ask a question? So since we're starting over with the Senate bills at 1, how do you distinguish between the ones that give your, just colloquially speaking, like about a bill that has, the our Senate has touched upon that is like the same name? Do we do like SB 2 2014 or
so
how does that work?
If you're speaking about that with someone,
or writing or
we don't
referencing.
have a formal way of doing that. The EVP Legislative Department and the Attorney General and others have worked together apparently to create a new template, if I'm understanding correctly. Yeah, and so the new template for the bills that ideally we will be using for this semester is going to distinguish and really clearly label that. And in terms of the way that you like label them or communicate them with past bills, that would probably be a Conrev thing. The only thing that is required of us in terms of labeling the bills is that they start over each session and that we number them 1 through blah blah. And so if you all want to integrate into them, so Senate Bill 1 2014 or something like that, or however you want to label them, it's a procedural change, but there isn't really a mechanism for what you're talking about right now. Senator Tan?
I'm objecting to the motion.
Sorry, say that again.
I'm objecting to the motion that's being...
Objecting to the motion of approving the agenda. Okay. Would you like to state a reason why?
Would like to entertain changing the time to 7:20 to accommodate all senators at this meeting.
So, okay, so if I may offer this suggestion, Conrev, and please correct me if I am mistaken, but Conrev has designated that the start time of the meeting is 7 o'clock. Is that correct?
No.
What is written in the bylaws? Can someone answer that question?
There's no time.
There's no time.
So the whole purpose is we're going to create the standing orders. That's what Sean's bill is going to be as well.
Okay.
But then what it says right now is that we vote on it as a Senate. So we'd have to vote on either 7:10 or now, as per Sean's objection, 7:20. And then if we just all vote for it, then that would be
Okay, so then we are rolling into this approval of the agenda, the understanding that the meeting will actually start at 7:20. The agenda will be amended correctly and it will be posted accordingly. Are there any objections to that motion as it has been amended? Senator Lee?
If meeting starts at 7:20, then when is roll call?
It would be at 7:20.
Okay, so we're supposed to still be here at 7, but roll call will be at 7:20.
No,
the meeting.
The meeting starts at 7:20.
Okay.
I'm going to yield time to Attorney General Slava to clarify.
So the problem used to be is that the bylaw said that time, that like the meeting must start at 7, so if anything happened, there was sort of nothing unless you would have foreseen it the week before and have changed it on the agenda, so by a 2/3 vote. So what the new bylaw says that we amended last semester is that at the first meeting, the EVP sets the time, which was determined to be 7:10, and then if you all need to change it, then you can choose to change it. But regardless of whatever time that is, roll call is set to the beginning of the meeting, whichever. So if you choose to set it at 7, then roll call's at 7 or 7:10 or 7:19, if you so please. Then it's just whenever the meeting comes to order is when you do roll call.
Senator Pacheco?
So the time that was just mentioned by Member 10 is just for next week, or?
It's for the rest of the
It's for the rest of the semester. It's determined, like what we determine for next week's meeting will determine the time for the rest of the meetings unless we vote on another time.
Okay, so this is ambiguous for me right now. I would prefer if we could clarify this in whatever Conrad produces going forward with your like standing orders project. I mean, I can just produce every agenda with the starting time by default at 7:20 if that's the will of the Senate. Is that in fact the start time that people want? Senator Feynman?
Yeah, I was going to speak to something different, so if you want to do that and then get back to me, that's fine.
Okay. Is there like consensus that we want the meeting to start at 7:20?
This is what I was going to say was relevant. So just for clarity purposes, when we talked about it in Conrav, is that the reason why like Berkeley time or whatever happens is because if someone has something that ends at 7, then they need time to walk, from wherever they are to the Senate meeting. That's why you do roll at 7:20, not exactly at 7. But the point being, if people actually need that buffer time, then we should give them the buffer time without them having to miss the beginning parts, like when Sergeant Williams or Rob sometimes speak to like 4 of us, right? So the point of what we're trying to do is that if people need the buffer time to get from point A to here, which we totally respect, that's totally fine. We'll start the meeting at 7:20, but we'll actually start the meeting at 7:20 and do roll call at 7:20 and then get on so that Sergeant Williams and Rob won't unfairly speak to 4 of us. We'll speak to all 20 of us or whoever's going to be there. That's the purpose of what we're doing.
Yeah, Senator Pacheco?
Just because 20 minutes is a... Yeah, because the point being, I think, is that if you're on North Side or somewhere far, that 10 minutes isn't always enough time, especially because this is a couple blocks off campus. So 7:20 would just be like the buffer time, and that's just, I guess, a judgment call. But
okay, so if there's nothing else objecting to the time of 7:20, we're going to move forward with that.
Check, 7:15 would be a request. I would admire.
This is my amused face.
I would. Can I talk?
Senator Shen.
Okay. I would like 7:20 because I have class until 7, and it's at Northside at Soda, and I don't know how late Senate meetings go, so I would like to grab some takeout. And today, I had a bike, and I got here at 7:18, so Okay,
7:18.
You got a license. 7:20 is awesome. My lucky number is 3720. That's 9. That's multiple of 3.
Oh,
Now it makes sense.
So this conversation should be drawing to a close now. We're going to approve the meeting for January 29th, 2014 with a start time of 7:20 with the understanding that I will instruct our office manager to produce future agendas with 7:20 as the start time. That motion having been made and seconded quite some time ago, are there any objections to the motion? Abstentions? Congratulations, motion carries. Our new start time is 7:20. Yes. We'll now move that into executive officer reports, starting with the ASUC president.
Oh, what happened? I'm gonna hold it. Hello and welcome back to session. Hope you all had a great break.
kind of have a lot. Sorry that none of the execs really turned in their reports on Monday because we didn't know you had session until too late. So reports from the office. The Higher Education Summit that my office was planning to have this semester ended up being canceled at the end of last semester, so we won't be able to have it anymore. I know, it's devastating, right? Like, I had the same volatile reaction. So last minute, what ended up happening, we had a venue, we were gonna book the hotel and everything, but they doubled the fees on us to almost $100,000 of a conference. And in order to keep the costs low, what we agreed, what travel costs would be for all students, or for the students that we were inviting to come, it was gonna exceed that. And so we decided that it wasn't gonna be accessible enough to attract other student leaders from other campuses to be able to come. So we are looking into alternative programming that can still kind of have the same purpose to do later on this semester. Other than that, we've done a lot of office restructuring, had some turnover with like interns and other coordinators in the office, so we'll be restructuring job titles and whatnot. If you want to talk to me more about it, you're welcome to do so. But we'll be planning for the spring and reprioritizing issues to be more effective. We have our office staff retreat on Saturday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. This weekend. The Sexual Assault Task Force was also restructured. We're moving forward really well, though. We now have 6 new community members on board that I believe the committee members from last semester took in applications and stuff, and we're able to bring in new folks. They also had their retreat last night from 7 to 10 p.m. And it looks like we're moving along really well with programming. I'll probably also be collaborating with the office and the Sexual Assault Task Force with the Empowering Women of Color Conference, which is a graduate assembly program that happens in March, in order to just increase publicity and also bring the resources that the Sexual Assault Task Force has to the conference, because it's centered around a theme of domestic violence for this year. Fireside chats are scheduled for the semester. I don't have the dates in front of me because I forgot to write them down. They're in my moleskin in the back of the room. But there's going to be one in February, 2 in March, and 1 in April. There is one that's going to happen next Tuesday, the 28th. But because it was so close into the semester, it's kind of like a special chat. It's not really considered a fireside chat. It's kind of just a small mixer that Harry LeGrand and Vice Chancellor Kathy Koshland invited their committees that they have. Like, they have their own separate student committees for their divisions, and they're inviting the students from there to mingle with the chancellor. So it wasn't really under my purview. But Max and I, the GA president, have been planning them off of kind of the request from the chancellor's office, and also kind of things that we thought would be a good idea. So I believe the communities will be inviting, will most likely be students that are very dependent on financial aid and that receive Pell Grants and other forms of financial aid. The MEMSA community, I believe, and that was based off of also a chancellor-specific request along with financial aid. We're going to have a women's one for March to go along with the entire theme of March being in recognition of women, and also EWOC. And then the last one is going to be for a lottery of students. I think we're going to be collaborating with the Division of Student Affairs to have a randomized pool of students be invited to that. If you have any questions, ask me and let me know. Dean of Students Search Committee is moving forward. I have over 100 pages of applicant profiles to read over the next few days. We have our meeting on Friday, and we'll be selecting the next candidates to move forward in interviews over Skype, and I'll keep you all updated on that. Obviously, I can't share that much because it's a job search. Napolitano visit. I'm pretty sure you all, I gave you the date from last semester, but just to remind you, she'll be here on February 12th for a welcome reception that I don't know if I'm invited to yet, but I think I am, plus the GA president, and that's the only students supposedly that's going to be there. I'm still waiting for that confirmation. And then her actual day visit is going to be the next day on the 13th. I actually don't know how much I can share of the agenda for that day. I don't know if they're planning on publicizing it, but I can say that the student portion for undergrads is going to be between 3 and 4, and grads from 4 to 5. But I'll be sending an email later tonight pushing back on that, because the way they've structured the time is she's only going to be listening, quote unquote, for 30 minutes between 3 and 3:30, and then 3:30 to 3:45 she's supposed to be answering questions and doing a Q&A. And I don't think that 45 minutes for a student population, or I guess it would be a total of an hour and a half, but for a 35,000 student population doesn't suffice. So we'll see how that goes. Senate advocacy agenda update. So I'm now going to be sitting on a committee that Harry LeGrand will be starting to work on student financial literacy. And that's a conversation as well that me and the GA have been having of how we can really work on that and increase that. Space conversations. We're working on, I'm still waiting on confirmation for Hearst Gym basement cages to be secured under the ASUC's name even after we move out of Hearst Gym and back into Eshelman. Still trying to negotiate the rest of 112, 114, and 102 Sproul, where the ASUC auxiliary staff is currently. I'll let you all know how that works. Also, last semester, event services staff was working with me to collaborate more with the Berkeley Art Museum and use their venue space to be more accessible and affordable for student groups to rent out, similar to the way iHouse is used in Clark Kerr, for example. I'll let you know where that conversation goes and is confirmed later on. It was looking pretty positive last semester, but we just have to double check and pick things up again for this semester. For the last plank, I'm still thinking about how to execute that with the volunteer work outside of like what was going on with ACEs last semester and everything. So if you have any ideas of how you all believe I should go about that volunteer work unit requirement thing, plank, then please talk to me if you have ideas. Tim is going to give you a CACSIF update later. We have a committee meeting coming up soon, but CACSIF proposals are due on January 31st, just to let everyone know. And again, Tim will give you the details, but if you have any ideas for proposals or you're thinking about putting anything through, please, please, please talk to me, Valerie, and Tim before the end of the week, just to give us a heads up that you're planning on something, because we have a really, really quick deadline coming up, and we need to be able to start strategizing how to go about it. Lastly, CSSB update. We have a retreat on the 5th, and the Oregon Governance Committee met earlier today to plan the retreat agenda and go over the CIA again and some lead center staffing model things that the auxiliary staff and lead center staff will talk to you about later on. But if you have any questions about CSSB stuff, you can talk to me offline, because I can't really talk about stuff publicly too much. So that's all. Questions?
Cool. We have about a minute and 30 seconds left for questions. Senator Feinman, then Senator Moche.
Yeah, how's it going? I was wondering if you could give us a progress report on the Perspective Showcase, and maybe if Darren could come in and give us like a special order or a presentation on what's up with that, and how much, what his ideas are and like how they've been progressing.
EVP PAC will have a further update with you on that. It's his office that's doing it.
Yeah, I just had a question in terms of the fireside chats, like if we wanted some of our community members to attend that or be listed at, what's the process for that?
Talk to me.
Oh, okay.
Other questions? All right, if there are none, thank you, President Pepito.
Thank you.
All right, moving down the list, we'll go to Academic Affairs Vice President Jameson.
Hi everyone, hope you had a great first and or second day of class. So to move on, as of 2 weeks ago, the new EVCP has finally been announced. So if you do not already know, his name is Claude Steele. He will be joining us from Stanford University. He has previous relationships with, yeah, I know, but he has previous relationships with our chancellor from their work at Columbia. So we're hoping that through the relationship, they already have a really great rapport. They'll be a great team, and he will be a perfect asset in addition to the support services we already have on our campus. He's going to be starting actually at a really odd time. So he will be official on our campus as of April 1st, meaning that me and John Rady, the campus affairs vice president, will still have 2 standing meetings with George Breslauer, but we'll be transitioning in meeting and working with Claude Steele as of April 1st. So before that, we will be having like transitional meetings with him and showing him around campus. I'm sure you all will have an opportunity to meet him as well. But it is very unheard of considering that, I mean, George Breslauer was gracious enough to extend and delay his retirement. So you'll be hearing more about that. Today, both me and John Reedy had a meeting with Annie Yee. She is one of the executive assistants within, so under Phyllis Hoffman and under George Breslauer. And what she has been tasked with helping us do this semester is to streamline and more effectivize the administrative committee process and appointments. So the problem that we've had is not only inconsistency with student representative appointments to admin committees, but also trying to align those with academic senate committee appointments. So from our conversation, we're going to be furthering the work that was done this semester. So for next appointment process and the appointment cycle, we're going to continue with like establishing the Google Doc, having executive officials that transition meet with the other EAs of various different departments, as well as hoping to revamp a 10-year-old policy that has caused us a little backlog and issues just with 5 of the committees, but I mean, that's still a huge margin of error. So we're hoping to be able to revamp this policy that will allow the ASUC and GA to be able to have the same clout in terms of appointment within the administrative committee sector as we do in academic senate committees. Currently, there are some administrative committees that take precedent in appointing student representatives because it is not equated in terms of like the value. So although the ASUC can nominate appointments and can recommend appointments, so can the chair of the EAs and the chairs of different administrative committees. So we're hoping to be able to vet any student representatives, whether they're undergrads or graduates, through the ASUC and through the GA. So that's our hope, is to be able to build this transition policy memo and provide it to Claude Steele, and hope that he can do this sometime before June. Also, grants in my office have opened as of yesterday, so please advertise those to everyone. Tom Lee is going to be solidifying a date for an info session. Likely it'll be the 1st or 2nd week of February, so look out for that information. Along with that, at the end of last semester, we developed an internal manual that was meant to help streamline the allocation process and develop best practices and guidelines for how we appointed allocations through those 5 grants. And in lieu and in conjunction with that, we also started working on revamping the 5 bylaws that are associated with the grants, because we recognize that there can be more fluidity. The grants bylaw is really thin and doesn't explain and give enough thorough explanation to what is the process behind that. We want to make sure to complement and develop it holistically. So that we're pretty much done with those 5 existing bylaw changes, but considering the budget realignment, we also want to give time to finish the development of the 6th grant bylaw and submit them all at once. So that should be coming mid-February, ideally, depending on what is the development with the 6th grant. In terms of other projects, we have a deadline and a timeline for March 1st for both textbook scholarship and RISE scholarship, given the influx in the budget, which is a good thing, but having to work with the additional funds is also having to delay the timeline for those. And as DJ mentioned, SACU will be having a fireside chat with the chancellor on the 28th, so it's going to be from 5:30 to 7, and it's just discussing various issues that students on the committee and students feeling as it pertains to different academic related issues in the committee. Will be discussing it with the chancellor. And This is a little old news, but just because it's going to continue to be relevant, at our last standing with Betty Deacon, which was actually on finals week, so it was after Senate met, we discussed a potential leverage point in partnering with SACU to try to fund a pilot program for a 24-hour Moffitt for a month. And that's going to be something that has to be in collaboration with George Breslauer's office. And given that he is on his transition out, we're hoping to gain momentum with the new EVCP. But that will be in further updates later. So thank you.
Any questions for our AAVP?
Hi, so I was just wondering if you could like give updates on the SLC, because a lot of people have been complaining about how the SLC isn't like 24-hour and it's been like closing really early. So I was wondering if you had like any information on that.
So I know towards the end of the semester, I had been in conversation with Cara Stanley, so she's the director of the SLC, in terms of like discussing various different issues, like adjunct courses and like 24 hours within the location, and I know that they've been scaling back. That's partly from my previous conversation with her. She mentions it's because she gets her funding via Kathy Koshlin's office. So I need to be able to assess whether that's something that she will be able to, like if it's under Cara Stanley's purview to actually change, or if it's going to have to be under Kathy Koshlin's directive. But I can follow up with that information.
Other questions? All right, if there are none, thank you. Next on our list, we have our External Affairs Vice President.
Hi everyone, it's nice to see you all again, and Happy New Year. So I have quite a few updates, but I'll try to be succinct because I'm hungry. So we had a UCSA board meeting just a couple weeks ago at UC Santa Cruz. It was also our executive retreat, so we did a lot of revisioning of what UCSA is going to be working on. So I just wanted to kind of briefly update you on UCSA stuff. First of all, Disha in my office is our new state deputy. Morgan, who's been involved with the State Department forever and ever, is abroad this semester, and we miss her, but she's having the time of her life. And so Disha's going to be taking over. So if you have big state questions, Disha is the new person to talk to. As far as just like broad system-wide things that have happened, the governor appointed 4 new regents, meaning he reappointed 3 regents and then appointed 1 new one. So if you have questions about what that means, I'll send to you the official UCSA statement on that. Obviously, we hope that in the future, the governor will look to new and innovative ways to make the Board of Regents move in a better direction for students. That being said, 3 of our regents have been reappointed, and there is 1 new regent. The governor also released his budget for the year. The UC also released its budget for the year, and it requested an increase of 10% from the state. The budget that was released by the governor allocated about 4.6% in increased funding to the UC. So there's some discrepancy there. What's interesting is for the first time, students, we agree essentially with what UCOP has requested from the state. They've asked for a 10% increase to do some good things for the UC, and so we are, which happens rarely, standing in solidarity with their budget request from the state. So the process will be going on for a while, and I'll be keeping you updated on how to get involved with conversations about the budget. As far as the campaigns that we have moving forward, we're still working on Fossil Free UC, CMed, and Ignite. The new kind of directions for each of those campaigns. Fossil Free UC had an organizer retreat recently, so I'll update you once I hear more from that. CMed, we're looking to really target the Office of the President and ask that Janet Napolitano come out in support of an oil severance tax. And then with Ignite, we're looking towards new legislative goals and a call-in, like a UC-wide call-in that will be happening, as well as a possible retreat workshop for Ignite organizers on our campus. At the UCSA board meeting in Santa Cruz, I introduced the San Jose State resolution that you all passed, and it was adopted by the UCSA board unanimously. We had folks from San Jose State come to the meeting and speak to the board about it, and it was a really great thing to happen. Also, the president of CSSA, which is the CSU body, was also there, so it was a nice moment to kind of show solidarity that way. The resolution in support of the price tag, or asking to look at the price tag of the UC and new ways to fund the UC, was also introduced to the board, and they'll be taking it back to their individual campuses. Last thing about UCSA, there's a Regents meeting happening today and tomorrow. I guess the biggest update is the president outlined her priorities once again for this year, including tuition reform, support for graduate professional students and undocumented students, improving efficiency at the UC, and looking at sustainability in the UC. Okay, so updates from my office. We have a few events coming up this week. First, we have a porch light campaign kickoff that's happening on Saturday. We're really excited about this because we're inviting a bunch of members of neighborhood associations, elected officials in the city of Berkeley, and students to all come together to discuss safety. And we're going to be kicking off a campaign encouraging people to keep their porch lights on and giving them free CFL light bulbs to do that, which we got donated, and I'll be sure to report back. But the event is co-sponsored by some Greek associations, some res hall associations, and the co-ops. So it's like a big student initiative. LegCon, we released the application for that. That's March 14th through the 17th. The application is due January 31st. The URL is on my Facebook, but I'll also email it to you. Just a clarification, this is like an all expense paid trip to DC with the exception of some food. So really encourage your constituencies to apply. We can only take a really small number of students. And so let people know. I think, Brianna, you went last year, so Brianna can talk more about it, but it's a really great experience. UC caucus is something I've talked about before, but it's at the federal level, a caucus of congressional and Senate representatives who have a UC in their district or who are supportive of the UC. We have finally drafted the official letter, and it's been sent in to create the caucus. So we're really excited about that. So at the federal level, there will be a group of representatives of senators and congressmen and congresswomen who are all dedicated to furthering the goals of the UC, which has not happened before, so that's really great. The other event that our office has coming up is tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. at iHouse. This is a symposium on educational inequality. It's something that we're co-sponsoring with Teach for America. Understanding that it's important to be critical of organizations like Teach for America, the purpose of the symposium is not an advertisement for Teach for America, but it's to bring together 3 leaders in education from the Berkeley Unified School District, the professor on campus who sent out that viral email about education, and then the founder of Teach for America to discuss why it's important to look at inequality in our K-12 education system. So please come and encourage your constituents to come, because Wendy Kopp, the founder of TFA, only visits like one campus every year. So it's really exciting that she's coming out. I was going to remind you all about the student regent visit. Again, that's 2 to 4 p.m. At Anthony Hall on Friday. A couple other big events that are coming up are a Google Hangout with Janet Napolitano on January 28th from 2 to 3 p.m. So I'll be in my office hanging out with the president and some other students and one of the student regents. So please log on and hang out with us. The best part about the hangout is that we'll be like accepting questions and comments from anyone who like tweets or whatever Google's tweet is during the hangout. And I'll be moderating the session, so I'll be sure to call her comments out before I call other people. I'm just kidding. But definitely try and log on if you can. UCSA leadership will be meeting with the president also on February 12th. So if you have items that you'd like me to bring up with her on the system-wide level, please let me know. She's also going to be meeting with veteran students and transfer students that week. So it's a big week of outreach for her for students. And it's kind of a different direction that she's taking it. The last president didn't make it a priority to really meet with transfer students or student veterans. And so that's exciting that she's doing that, but we'll see what comes out of those meetings. Last 2 things. There's a BART Plaza redesign open house on February 3rd from 4:30 to 7:30. So BART Plaza, they're hoping to do this big overhaul and redesign of, and they have some like mock-up of designs as well as some ability for comments. And that's 4:30 to 7:30 on the 3rd at the Berkeley Public Library. Awesome, thank you. And the last thing I wanted to bring up is the SSCCC has approached me and DJ about helping co-sponsor the March on March. The March on March is a huge event when students from generally all 3 branches of California public schools come together, march to the Capitol, and hold a big press conference and then lobby our legislators about various issues, especially related to the budget, I think is kind of a big one for us. And so there's a couple of things with that. They've essentially approached us to co-sponsor because they don't have the proper insurance policies to actually reserve a lot of the public spaces in Sacramento that they need. So I've talked to DJ a lot about this and about what that means. And they're asking for a lot of the ASUC to take on some of that liability, which I'm not sure is a great idea. But what we're doing is running it by some of our advisors, as well as we're talking to the lawyer sometime this week about kind of what he thinks about what that would look like. I worked with them to draft a preliminary memorandum of understanding where they would pay for all the permits, and besides on paper with the city, they would be liable for any damages that occur during the march with us. That being said, we're not sure how binding that would be. So I just wanted to let you all know that that's coming up. Pending what happens with our conversations with the lawyer, if there are to be any decisions made about that, I'll probably submit a bill so that you all can make the decision. Or whatever the best way to go about that is. But I just wanted to put it on your radar that DJ and I have been discussing that. And if you all have comments, questions, concerns, you should talk to me about that. All right,
So we have
sorry
about
that was so long.
17 seconds left. Do you all have any questions? We'll need a motion to extend time.
I move to extend time by 3 minutes.
There's been a motion by 3 minutes. Second? All right. Any abstentions to the motion? Objections? Motion carries. Senator Mullen, then Senator Quinn.
Hi. I just was wondering, because as the governor appointed or reappointed 3 regents, I was wondering, I know it's under the purview for the governor to appoint the regents, but what does the process look like? I mean, obviously with Jeanette Napolitano, there was actually students on the committee. I know John and Cynthia were included, and I didn't know if there was a similar process for other regents or if it's just kind of you.
Yeah, for the UC president, they involve some student input, but as far as the regents go, they're exclusively Governor Brown can kind of do what he wants. That being said, I think that there's an opportunity for us to make it known that we don't appreciate the way that it was done. But as far as what actual control we have to allow for student input, there's very minimal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Senator Quinn?
Since you mentioned SLC, I just remembered usually during, or since you mentioned March on March, I remember that SLC usually overlaps with March on March, and I was wondering what reason we're not doing that this year, if you could elaborate.
That's a great question. I think it was a weird communication thing between SSCCC and UCSA, and there was a problem with reserving the dates for the hotel that we usually use for SLC. It was a really logistical thing, but it wasn't an intentional separation of the two things. That being said, we'll still have a lobby day in SLC and still invite both SSCCC and CSSA to participate. Yeah.
Any other questions? All right, if there are none, thank you. And now we'll hear from our Student Advocate's Office.
Hello, everybody. So as Sophie mentioned earlier in the public comment time, there is a new revised UC policy on sexual harassment and sexual violence, and that was circulated sometime in December. You all should have received the email via your Berkeley email accounts. So if you search, I think Harry LeGrand, and that should be the first email that comes up. In response to the new policy, which was largely a result of the UC system trying to gain compliance with federal legislation that was passed last year called the Violence Against Women Act, the Student Advocate's Office, consulting with a number of people, has come up with a statement and a number of recommendations on the new policy. So we will be circulating that to the Senate right after this meeting, and if you all are interested, please have a look and send us any feedback that you may have. We'd love to hear your input and see if we can incorporate that into what we've written up. So also, if you're interested in like signing it or showing your support in some way, let us know as well, and we'd love to talk with you about that. So next item is, as DJ mentioned, CACSIF proposals for the spring cycle are going to be due on January 31st. Before that time, the students on the committee who have a majority vote will be meeting once more, and that's going to be next Wednesday. So if you are interested in applying for funding, then please consult with myself or Valerie or DJ sometime before next Wednesday, and maybe send us a draft of what you have ready. The way that the funding works for this cycle is there's $1 million of one-time funding available, and there is $550,000 of recurring funding. So if you want to create a staff position that would be funded for a couple of years at a time, that would be the $550K pot, and if you had a one-time thing, that would be $1 million total. So, ideally, please have any draft proposals or any conversations that you need to have with us before next Wednesday, because that's when we're going to have to think about how we're going to vote as a student body if we want to block vote. And then lastly, the Student Advocate's Office is going to be recruiting 10 new caseworkers this semester, or that's a ballpark number, but around 10. I'd ask that, if you know people who might be interested in that, please let them know that we're doing that. The application is going to be due on February 5th, and there are going to be 2 info sessions for which we'll send out information after the meeting as well. Please forward to anyone that you know that might be interested. So, thank you.
All right, do you have any questions for Student Advocate Senator Woche?
You just had a question in terms of the going back for the campus explosion. Did you have any cases, and how? I know you had cases. I meant to ask.
Right.
How did the process go?
Right. So we got a very favorable resolution for the main case that we were handling with regards to that, but it's very hard for me to go into like the specific details of what happened. They were taken care of, and they were very satisfied with the outcome that they got.
Cool. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Tim. Okay, so I'll try to breeze through my report as quickly as possible. A lot of stuff has been happening over winter, but I have like 9 categories of things for you. So first is finance-related stuff. Good news on finance-related stuff is that the EVP finance team has put together and finished the RFP for Cal Lodge. That's a request for proposal, and so once we've gotten that confirmed or vetted by the auxiliary executive director and finance director, our goal is to start promoting that and soliciting proposals from groups on campus. So I have, for example, one undergraduate consulting group who's been very persistent in asking me like when this is going to be out, and so we're completely open. We've removed restrictions about graduate students. Only undergraduate consulting groups are welcome to apply and compete in the process. The process will be competitive, and at the end of the day, whoever produces the best proposal combined with the likelihood based on what we see of their track record that they'll actually be able to complete that proposal, that will sort of be the factor that we're looking at in choosing it. On the darker side of the Cal Lodge situation, I guess in defiance of the bill that the Finance Committee produced and that the Senate passed, our Cal Lodge manager, who shall remain nameless for the time being, is insisting that he be able to occupy the Cal Lodge indefinitely for some reason. And so we're now, and I don't know exactly what the rationale is, but our attorney Steve has assured us that he is pursuing legal recourse to make sure that it's very clear that there is no legal basis for doing that, and that we will have our Cal Lodge basically dealt with, moved out by the date that was specified, which I think was like February 20th or something like that is what you all put in the bill. What will basically happen after that, based on the current plan, is that the RFP process will continue to move forward until we have a solid business plan for the Cal Lodge, an idea of how much it's going to cost to renovate it if we choose to do that, what the most financially viable option is, etc. In the meantime, we will probably hire a local Tahoe-based property management firm to manage the property, and Steve basically relayed that what that's going to look like is basically probably putting up a temporary chain link fence around the property and driving by every couple of days maybe to make sure that the doors are still locked. So it's nothing intensive, and it will be very cheap. Certainly much less expensive than having our current management structure. So that's Cal Lodge. My finance department has also produced a study on student group spending that I've mentioned before that goes back several years to chart what students spend versus what we give them in the financial allocation process. So I'm working right now on the best way to deliver that to the finance committee so that they can use that in their deliberation process based on how you allocate spring funding this year. On programs and events, our ASUC decal has, I talked with Sean earlier, I think about 140 people registered, not this Sean, my department, Sean, 140 people in it, which is like the biggest ASUC decal that we've had, at least in the time that I've been here. They had to request a larger classroom just to accommodate the demands. They've been advertising it and doing outreach. It's, we've got a really great turnout so far. You can still add the decal as far as I know, so if y'all are interested or if you have friends, I think it maxes out at 200 people is what the classroom can hold. So on Perspectives, which is technically not like an EVP thing, Perspectives is like a freestanding ASUC program, but I got involved in the Perspectives conversation over winter break to make sure that things are moving forward, and I think the biggest change in the way that the Perspectives conversation is going right now is that I've requested, and she's been very helpful with this, I've requested that our primary ASUC advisor, Amanda, be involved in and facilitating the process of moving Perspectives forward. We have also brought in Chris Wong, who is a wealth of ASUC related information and knows a lot about ASUC programs to help facilitate the process. So currently we have Zellerbach reserved, but there's a conversation right now about whether the date for which we have reserved it is the best date in the semester for us, so like March 1st right now. So we're considering Zellerbach and other venues to see if we can do a bigger and better show at a different time in the semester. That's a conversation that's moving forward within that sort of working group. There'll be more to come, I guess, as this group meets. They're meeting weekly right now. I'm not actually in the group, I'm just relaying the information that they've given me, but they'll be starting auditions and calls for performances and things of that nature, and they will have these weekly recurring meetings to make sure that things are moving forward. They're aware of the budget constraints of the show and are apparently working within that. So that's all I really have for you as far as that goes. On EVP projects and development sort of stuff, we've got right now a trailer of a little mini documentary that was produced by Students of the World about some of the activism around Keystone over the fall semester. There were a bunch of different things that sort of culminated in the big Keystone rally at Sather Gate, and they've produced a sort of documentary about that, which is really cool. I haven't seen the actual documentary, just the trailer, but I'll share that with you as soon as it's ready. In student resources, we have apparently a new funding software for the spring budgeting process and or for finance committee allocations. So I'm going to be connecting Finance Chair Mahaba and Finance Officer Lee to begin testing that project and determine whether or not it's ready for us to roll out in the spring. The intention was that we would use it this spring, but I don't know that it's been vetted by the actual finance committee, so I think that's an important step in the process to determine whether or not you all actually want to use it. The long and short of it is sort of that it's meant to integrate the process of the finance application and then the back end account balances built into CalLink and make those connected rather than separate, because right now it's sort of a disaster. There are conversations on room reservations that are going forward. I should probably save that update for you at another time, but I'm part of a weekly working group that's with the end goal of creating one unified event management system on campus so that students can reserve any room on campus from one place online rather than having to call a different set of places. Based on the research of other universities that have implemented this process, I'm just going to be real with you, it's probably going to take several years, but more to come on that as that moves forward. On communications, as mentioned earlier, we do have a new ASUC logo, so we're going to be printing that on swag-related things. When we replace the ASUC paper, it's going to have the fabulous new ASUC logo, which Monshane sent out to you all in the group text, I think, so you got to see that. The idea will be that for future ASUC classes, rather than having these completely stylistically different executive office logos that make it like you can't distinguish that they're from the same entity, we'll be moving forward with a sort of internal brand cohesion that will make us more like a unified organization. And on sustainability stuff, there's a divestment conference today. For those of you who were able to attend, awesome. I personally was not because hella stuff going on today. But it was mainly intended for administrators, not so much for students. It's for people who are interested in the mechanics of how you do fossil fuel divestment on a campus and what that ends up looking like. So I don't know that it would have been terribly entertaining for all of you, but a lot of people who work in institutions of higher education went to sort of see what the mechanics look like. Also, Just a brief shout out to Conrev on legislative related stuff. We have legislative interns in the EDP department who are really interested in helping out if you just need people to do like typing and things of that nature on this. We've trained all of them in the structure of like writing bills and that sort of thing. They're briefed on the project that Conrev is going through, but I think based on your retreat, if you could give us a more thorough idea of the new structure and direction, we can begin to have them do simple things, I would say, like rearranging things. I don't want to have them rewriting substantive stuff so that you all can do that, but if there's stuff that's like rearranging or altering sections and that sort of thing, that's what interns are for. Also, in my last 2 minutes, the Associate Vice Chancellor / Chief Financial Officer search has ended. I don't think that I'm allowed to announce the name yet. This person, I think, is a good choice. They were my second choice out of the selection process, which was highly competitive and really interesting. I believe that that person will start on February 1st, so I'm sure you can expect an email somehow on like from your campus-wide email system that will tell you who that person is. Lastly, on the Berkeley Students Foundation, for those of you who are on the BSF board, I need to have a conversation with some of you about moving forward. Our new lawyer, Steve, who is amazing, has had a difficult time transitioning the BSF with Greg. We had to do a lot of emergency stuff over the break to make sure that we could maintain our 501c3 status by signing a bunch of paperwork and things like that, because the instructions and the paperwork that Greg left behind were difficult for us to work with. And so we have some open questions right now, and what I've asked Steve to do is work with his office and other attorneys in his office to come up with like a proposed new governance structure for the BSF that centers power less on Greg, which is how it was before, and sort of distributes it more so the committee has more of an active role, or the board has a more active role in the governance process, and so that we have someone more like a secretary playing the role of secretary rather than our attorney doing too many different things and centralizing power in one person. So I have like 30 seconds left, but that's everything I have. Do y'all have questions? Senator Rafi, I can probably answer quickly, hopefully.
So will Steve be getting in contact with the BSF board regarding our next meeting? Because I think we have applications to consider like imminently.
Yeah, so he's aware of the February 5th meeting that's coming up. That meeting will probably proceed as normal within the existing governance structures that we have, but hopefully by February 5th he'll have a new proposal. If not, we'll discuss that at a following meeting for like ways that we can tweak the governance structure. Other questions? Okay, I need a motion to extend time.
I move to extend time by 3 minutes.
All right, there's been a motion and a second. Any objections? No. Abstentions? Motion carries. Senator Lee, then Mullen, and Chung.
I have a question about the undergraduate consulting group for the Berkeley Cal Lodge. How are you going to reach out to the groups, and how much is it going to be done within the time frame of the semester? And have you already contacted groups? Like, what's the process on that?
Well, so the RFP has to be finished and finalized. I mean, I want to make sure that we haven't left anything out that the auxiliary needs to have in it in order for it to work. The RFP is basically done from my perspective. Once that's done, we will be sending it out to different listservs and things like that. It'll probably occupy a page on the ASUC, asuc.org/CalLodge RFP or something like that. And we'll be blasting that link and sending it to as many people as possible. As far as sending it to specific groups, I mean, I'm planning to send it to listservs and that sort of thing, but if you all have specific groups in mind that you think should submit proposals, you're more than welcome to forward that to them and sort of explain to them the background on the situation. And on whether it will take a semester, it's sort of an open question right now whether this is a task that can be accomplished within a semester. And so it's possible that what we'll be looking for is someone who can start the process in the spring, work through the summer and fall, and deliver a report in the fall in advance of next year's spring budgeting process to give us an idea of what to do. Because it's actually a pretty exhaustive project that's going to probably involve things like engineering reports and things like that. So, yeah. Other questions? Oh, right. Okay, Senator Chung, then Senator Woche, then Senator Mullen.
Oh, okay. So Nolan, in terms of perspective, you said that like you're just relaying the information, but you don't know about like the actual details because you haven't been to like the meetings. Is it possible for Darren to actually come in and just like confirm most of what you said, just so we have like a first-hand account of what's going on?
Yes, I can ask him to come in and deliver a report at the next Senate meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay. Senator Mullen, please.
So how much time do we have?
We have 21 seconds. Is there a motion to extend time?
Motion to extend time by 3 minutes.
Second.
It's been moved, seconded. Okay.
Yeah, so to make that more clear, so because I know you're trying to get groups to work on a Cal Lodge project, so I was trying to see if also that same group could also look at an analysis to extrapolate based on the current budget we have right now to see how future student groups will be able to be funded, because as I look at the budget right now, student groups coming in would not be able to receive the same amount that other student groups are, and that's my first question, and then I have another question after that.
So that would be a totally separate RFP, and the report that my finance team put together will probably take care of that. I'm not going to presume to tell the Senate how cuts should be made, if cuts should be made at all. What we're doing is giving you the information to see several years back how spending has looked, who has spent over and who has spent under what was budgeted to them. And so it will be up to the Finance Committee to determine that. The RFP, or the research grant that we got is like $8,000 per, and I don't see that as something that requires an $8,000 grant to figure out, because we can do that with an Excel spreadsheet, probably in Finance Committee.
All right, I mean, yeah, that's exactly what I was trying to say, if you all have done that. Second question I had is in terms of, I know you're sitting on a committee that was trying to determine vending machines and things that products are going to be put in that. What is your progress on that?
So it's not actually a committee that just deals with that. It's the CSSB, broadly the Commercial and Student Services Board. It deals with commercial and student services things, broadly speaking. That was the one that DJ said the retreat is coming up for and we'll be meeting soon. I can ask Susie what the status report is on that at the next CSSB meeting, and she should probably let me know.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so if there are no other questions then, thank you all. We'll move on then to appointments, but I don't think there are any appointments to make right now. Just as a brief aside on this, there will probably be appointments in the next couple of weeks that we have to start considering, just to make sure that we're following the new appointment process that Conrad passed. So we don't have any special orders that were approved for this meeting as far as I know. Thank goodness. And we'll move into legislative officer reports, starting with Attorney General.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back from winter break. Hope it was great for you all. So first, while some of you were enjoying winter break, Conrad was hard at work, and on Monday we were working on the reorganization of the bylaws and the new type of system that we have in place that I'm sure Senator Tan will go over more, and in his report, the Standing Committee report. But there was a lot of work done, and I know that it's not the most glorious kind of work, so I really wanted to thank the members of Conrev, who might not be as interested in it as I am, for really buckling down for those 5 hours and getting to work on that. Most of the semesters, in terms of my responsibilities, which is why I'm kind of glad that the overhaul of the bylaws is sort of handled as of now, is going to be based on elections. And I have a meeting with the Elections Council chair tomorrow, and we're going to figure out how we can start meeting the Attorney General, Solicitor General, and then the Elections Council members regularly, so that way we're all on the same page about what's going on, so we're not running around during election season. So tentatively, as of what the bylaws say 2 weeks after spring break, the election dates are tentatively April 7th through April 11th, although the Senate has the power to move it due to unusual circumstances, and I know that in the past they've moved it because of religious holidays, and I'm not very well versed in religious holidays, so if anyone sees anything in the 7th through the 11th that they can let me know, then I can bring that up with Elections Council. Otherwise, as of what the bylaws say, it looks like it's April 7th through the 11th. Also, really important. I have party registration forms, and I wrote down, in case you didn't believe me, Title 4, Article 5, Section 5, Subsection 3 says that if you're an existing party, you have to submit a party registration form by the end of the first meeting of spring, so like tonight, like in a little while. You have to submit it if you want to reserve your party name. Otherwise, if you don't submit it and you're an elected official for a party, someone can steal your name and like run in the elections on your party name. So, which is kind of funny. But, so basically there are only 4 parties right now. The way that it's worded is that you have to have an elected official who is currently in office. So don't worry if you're not the party signatory, you just have to be an elected official. And then email me if you need to transfer the signatory authority, because I also have the forms for that. So if you are a
CalServe, the independent party for common sense, squelch or student action, then just one person from the party, just anyone from the party, come up to me at the end of the meeting and I'll give you the form. I just wrote in the names because it has to be an existing party, so if it's, I know that certain parties have capitalization and special punctuation, so if that's your party, then cross it out and write it underneath, and then, like I said, it has to be turned in because I have to sign it by the end of the meeting, otherwise it's not even, actually I'll hand it out now because it has to be before the end of the meeting. Sorry, I just don't want to mess it up and have some party angry at me. So, as Nolan had brought up, or Executive Vice President Pack had brought up, the timeline for appointed officials has been moved up to the spring, so that way we're not appointing people like the Attorney General because ASUC will shut down otherwise in the end of October, but rather we're appointing an Attorney General and a Finance Officer and Solicitor General before elections, before spring budgeting, so that way they have an opportunity to go through the processes that they're going to be managing the next year round. So if you look through the appointed officials roster and the new bylaws that are going to be updated as soon as the new manager gets them to me, then start reaching out to people and letting them know. The EVP office under the bylaws is charged with advertising, and I've already spoken to EVPAC about that. And so just keep in mind that you're the lucky class that gets to appoint 2 groups of appointed officials. Lucky you all. I can see the excitement on all of your faces. So if you have any questions about the appointed officials, please note that some of the positions that exist now no longer exist in the future with the new roster, that those positions do sunset. So are there any questions? Sorry, what?
Can you hand me the paper?
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Okay, moving down the list so that I don't keep having to turn around, just say, like, shout so that I know that you're here if you're going to come up and deliver a report, otherwise I'll continue moving. Solicitor General? Kevin. Judicial Council Representative? Elections Council Chair? Director of Cal Housing? Marketing and Communications Director?
Okay. Hi, everyone. As has been said 2 times already, we've updated the seals for ASUC, and we've also created new, I guess, logos for the specific executive offices. So we have a new one for like academic affairs and external affairs. So we want those to be used across the board everywhere. And as soon as there's a link for where we have those stored online where you can get access to those. If not me, somebody else who has access to it will send that to you all. The only other thing I have to add is I know last semester getting the YouTube Senate videos up online didn't always happen on time and perfectly. I only came into this office like halfway through the semester, so I wasn't entirely sure what to do. But starting this semester, that's going to be done the night of every single Senate meeting. And I've also been sitting back there and writing down the times during the Senate meeting that every person goes up to speak. So if you want to link anybody to a certain point in the YouTube video, it'll be easy to just click on it and go straight to that point. So if you ever need to like share a video with a specific point in the video, feel free to do that. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
All right, we'll continue moving down the list to Greek Affairs Officer, Superb Representative, Services Board Director, Director of Environmental Sustainability. All right, if there are none, we will move then into standing committee reports, starting with constitutional and procedural review.
Hi, everybody. So as promised, Conrev did have its retreat this Monday, and it was a very productive retreat, I must say. Before I get started on the report on the retreat, I just want to inform Conrev that I did reach out to Nicolette Rogers about J Council. They do have 2 appointments, one undergraduate position and one graduate position that they want to fill. And I will also invite them to our Conrev meeting to talk about the new bylaw renumbering, so they won't be citing old bylaw titles and be transitioned to the new one for the justices that will be serving for the following 2 years. So what went on the retreat, first we established the format for Senate bills going through the committee. I know there was a request among senators about how or what the proper format is, so I will send that to all of you tonight of how the committee wants to see the format for Senate bills going to Conrev. I will also send our calendar of what we're going to be working on throughout the spring semester as soon as the committee approves it on Monday, and also what the style is for how the bylaws are being renumbered. Another thing is that we resolved the concerns over Senate Bill 68, which is a bill to remove Section 6 from Title I, Article 4.1 of the ASUC bylaws, and Senate Bill number 74, a bill amending Title I, Article 3 and 5, reforming meetings of the ASUC Senate. Under SB 68, which established a new timeline for the recruitment and selection of appointed officials, the committee would like to inform the rest of the Senate that recruitment selection will occur during the spring semester. This means that as a Senate class, we must facilitate the recruitment process as early as February and have appointed officials for the new Senate session by March. The selection committee structure is laid out on SB 68 if you're interested. There are a few altercations that the committee is still looking over, such as the selection and appointment process of CSSB representatives and restoring the appointment powers of the executive officers. We also had a discussion over ASUC representatives and that were listed under the old agenda. The committee had decided under SB number 20 that ASUC representatives will be provided as requested by umbrella organizations rather than individual student groups. Umbrella organizations will also be considered as organizational partners for the ASUC. These representatives will also become individuals from these umbrella organizations rather than senators or from the ASUC. One of the issues that Conreb is still looking over and would like the opinion of the Senate is reaching out to these umbrella organizations to facilitate actually having ASUC representatives. So currently, right now, we don't have any ASUC representatives. That's why nobody is reporting to our meetings. Under SB 74, which created a new agenda for the ASUC Senate and was debated last semester on the Senate floor, the committee has written a Senate bill mandating standing orders for the ASUC meetings. Standing orders will provide suggestions on the facilitation of Senate meetings. Over the whole spring semester, the committee will be introducing several changes to the ASUC bylaws, such as the renumbering of the ASUC bylaws and amendments for specific titles of the bylaws. In order to maintain transparency to our process, the committee will be requesting several special orders and possibly a town hall to educate the rest of the Senate and members of the student community about what these changes will mean for our student government. And lastly, the committee has initiated into 3 subcommittees that will review administration and internal operations, sponsorship and finance, programs, funds, scholarship and awards, and general items in the ASUC. These subcommittees are not restricted to senators or appointed officials in Conreb. All elected and appointed officials can be part of these subcommittees. Any questions?
Questions for our Conreb chair? All right, if there are none, thank you. Moving on to Finance Committee.
So as I understood it, we were on winter break, so we didn't have a meeting. It was also MLK Day, so I was respecting that holiday. So looking forward to seeing FICOM this Monday. See you there.
Great. University and External Affairs.
Go Bears.
Okay. So moving on, we'll move past consent calendar because we don't have any consent calendar, thus there's also no immediate consideration. It's the first meeting of the semester, so there is no old business. We shouldn't have any special committee reports, presumably, unless any special committees met over the break. Please correct me if I'm wrong before I move on rapidly. ASUC representative reports, per Senator Tan's clarification, I don't think that we should have any reports in this category as far as I understand it. It's ambiguous as to whether or not it should even be on the agenda. Now, elected official announcements. Okay, who should start this time? Okay, I see you, Wendy. Okay, Senator Chow.
Just a quick reminder, per a bill that passed last semester, authored by Senator Truax and I think Senator Quinn, the lobbying appointments and lobbying sessions that we're all highly recommended to do, the Attorney General will be reminding us soon, but we all need to do that. So there's a report back time. I think it's, I don't remember the exact date, I think it's in April, but just keep it on your radar if you didn't do it during Dead Week, which I did, and it was awesome, had a great time. That's something you should keep on your radar, because that's something we're going to be held accountable for.
There's shoot, stay blessed, y'all.
So last semester, my office put together the Mental Health Coalition, which is part of student groups that have been working on mental health as far as just general student body members. This semester, we're especially reaching out, trying to add more people to the coalition. So if you all have members of your community that you'd like to sit on the coalition, we meet every other week, and we'll be moving forward with the report that I put together and trying to spread it off around campus. So please let me know if you have community members that you think would be interested in this, health organizations especially. But yeah, that's what we're doing. And I've also been working with Controller General Kang to develop a reporting system much like the executive officers for the senators, with the idea that it will be codified in the bylaws in the next couple weeks. If you want to be really gung-ho about it, you can start filling out reports early. I'm going to, but I'll send it out in an email later. This is just to try and keep more records of what senators are doing, keep ideas about how you're working your offices, starting to create institutional memory that future senators and members of the public can also read and look at what are we doing, because a lot of times it isn't clear. And it'll also help you all reflect on what have I done in my office, what can I do better? And this form is a draft, so if you have any suggestions, let us know. Thanks.
Two quick things, y'all. Queer Olay is tomorrow in the MCC. I think it's from 6 to 8. All 30 queer orgs are going to be there, and other campus resources like HIV testing, and Tang has some really good resources for queer and trans students. So tell your community members, stop by yourself. There are a lot of awesome people there, and free coffee and drinks and stuff. Get all that free Welcome Week food, right? And then another update, we're having I guess it's our 4th USSA board meeting this weekend, so I'll be going to Phoenix, but USSA really wants Berkeley to become a direct member, and so I'm kind of looking at whether or not that's a good idea. I personally really love USSA, but one of their big campaigns is always student government autonomy, and we're already the most autonomous student government. So I don't know how beneficial it would be for us to join them. So talk to your communities about it. Generally, we don't seem to be very willing to tax ourselves, and it does cost money to join, so I don't foresee it happening anytime in the near future, and we're still kind of members through UCSA. So just put that on your radar. If you have anything you want me to bring to USSA, let me know before I leave to drive down there tomorrow at 6. Thanks.
All right. Hey, y'all. So if y'all saw, my office is holding a Asian Pacific Islander Welcome Day. It's gonna happen on February 8th. We pushed it back to accommodate Lunar's New Year, which is next week. So make sure y'all come out. I've been working with the Office of Undergraduate Admissions as well, and I have the contact of like roughly 500 spring admits that are API that I will be blasting, so hopefully they come out. And if y'all are interested in coming, please come out. We're also looking for workshop facilitators. If you're interested in facilitating a workshop, we have like general topics such as like API identity, cultural groups, how to navigate things that you wish you would have knew before you came to Cal, stuff like that, random things. So if y'all interested in facilitating, please do. And we are also having our API Palooza right after, which is that fair thing that I had last time for all the API orgs. It's from 4 to 6, and there will be some free food, so y'all can come and hook it up, bring your friends, family, whatever. So yeah, and also another announcement, I talked a little bit about it before, but I'm holding Asian Community Training, which is a conference, an activism conference for API folks. So if y'all are interested in signing up for that, the application was due yesterday. But if y'all interested, just talk to me and submit it before like Saturday, and I got you. But if you really want to do it with you, shit, it's free. Up in Richmond, and it's going to be dope. And we're working with the Chinese Progressive Association, Stanford, and other city colleges and UCs and CSUs throughout California. So yeah, all right, that's it.
Hi everybody again. As a request by the Conrad members of the Conrad committee, we're going to schedule to see the Cal basketball team play. Somewhat this February. I talked to Lauren about it already, and hoping everybody can make it to one of the games, as maybe we can support them as ASUC Senate and get a shout out, but that's still something that we're planning.
Hi everyone, I hope you all had a wonderful break. So I think I mentioned this last semester, but so my office, along with Justin and Brianna and Solomon and other student orgs, are organizing the Educate the Bay Summit Conference, and it was originally done by the Cal Public Service, or UC Berkeley Public Service Center, like at pre-2009, but they stopped for a couple years. So now it's happening again. So if you or anyone that you would know would be interested in facilitating a workshop that it focuses on K-12 education, like whether reforming inequalities that exist, tutoring, Brianna's hosting one about tutoring, thank you, and just anything in general, that'd be so great just to give our audience different perspectives on K-12 education. Thank you. Oh, wait, sorry, really quick. It's February 22nd, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Hello, everyone. On March 18th, we're hosting a undergraduate research fair, and right now we're working with like the MCB and the bioengineering department. But because I've been getting some feedback from certain student groups who want to expand this to like math, physics, as well as even outside of just the sciences, we're trying to work and see if later in the year we can also have more than just one. So stay tuned for that as well. But if you know anyone who's in any science field looking for research, March 18th from 6 to 9 p.m. The location is still to be decided.
The first announcement I wanted to make is follow-up from SB 16 from last semester. I just wanted to tell the Senate that yesterday IFC, Panhellenic, and the Cal Greeks advisors from the Lead Center held a risk management training, which did include cultural sensitivity training, which I think is a really awesome step forward. I also, following kind of what Sean said, if you all haven't seen on Facebook, I created an event for the ASUC in-game recognition program I made. If you could share that with your communities, get more people signed up so that we can have all the games filled. And then I also wanted to mention that President Pepito is having me sit on a committee to figure out how to get students to go to the football game next year. That's going to be at Levi Stadium, which is in Santa Clara. So if you guys have ideas on like what your student communities would want and like what they need to get to that game, let me know. And then I'm also, former President Landgraf has appointed me to a committee based on alcohol policy at sporting events, specifically football games. So if you guys have ideas on dealing with that in student conduct, let me know as well.
The Decal Expo is taking place at Upper Sproul this Friday, 4:30 to 6:30. So if your friend's interested in taking decal, tell them about the Decal Expo this Friday.
right, so if there are no further announcements, we'll move then into final roll call. Senator Chow.
Present.
Senator Chung.
Present.
Senator Feinman. Present. Senator Iwoma. Present. Senator Kong. Present. Senator Lee. Senator Mohabbat. Senator Mullen. Senator Woche. Senator Pacheco. Senator Pandya. Senator Quinn. Senator Rafi. Senator Shen.
Present.
Senator Snon.
Present.
Senator Tan. Present. Senator Truax.
Here.
Senator Upadhyula. Here. Senator Week.
Here.
Senator Wu.
Here.
Great, thank you everyone. If there are no objections, this meeting will be adjourned at 8:54.